It's a great honor for me and for TEDxTrieste to call on stage Mr. Riccardo Illy.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for this wonderful presentation. And it's a great opportunity for me being here and talking to you of one of the ideas I think will change the world in the next future. I am now simply a manager, an entrepreneur, so I will speak about companies. And maybe also solicited by the message of Niccolo Borghi, you are going to start your own business, your company, or maybe you are already running a business, and so maybe you are wondering which is the ideal model of a company you would like to run. So I will focus on this issue. The title is the stakeholder company. It's a term that has been invented by Peter Drucker. Peter Drucker, he was Austrian, so I use the German pronouns of his name, even if he spent almost 2/3 of his life in the United States. Peter Drucker is the, I would say, inventor of the concept of management and of the modern enterprise. And he also launched several decades ago, about 50 years ago, the idea of stakeholder companies. Recently, Gary Hamel, that wrote several books, but the last one is The Future of Management. 50 years before, Peter Drucker wrote a book about the practice of management, took again the principles of Mr. Drucker and, let's say, relaunched it on the market. And I think that finally, after more than 50 years, there are now several companies that are willing to become a stakeholder company. I also cited Peter Senge, which is another author in the field of the business, of the economy, of the companies. And his last book is The Necessary Revolution. He's dealing with the main problem of sustainability, of, let's say, environmental sustainability. So the first message of Peter Drucker was this one. The goal of each organization, and he always wrote, there are not that much differences between a profit organization, a company, or a no-profit organization. That could be an association, but even a public administration. And I can confirm this, having devoted about 15 years of my life to the public administration, that Peter Drucker was right. So the goal is to satisfy the needs of its consumers. Probably you have always heard about another goal of companies, which was cited also by Niccolo, which is profit, making profits. But the real goal of a company is to satisfy a need of some people. If a municipality, a region, a state, or a supranational organization exists, it is because there are some needs of the citizens. We can call them consumers or citizens. They will always be the same people to satisfy. And probably in this case, these needs cannot be satisfied by a private organization. We need a public organization. If companies in the world now are succeeding, Apple was cited before by Niccolo, it is because they are able to satisfy better than other companies the needs of the consumers. So you will wonder at this point, so what about profits? Aren't they important at all? Of course they are, and I will also explain why. I would say, first of all, profits represent the level of the success of the company. If the company is really able to satisfy the needs of the consumer, they will sell a lot of products with the right prices, and probably the company will also make some profits. So first of all, I would say it's a measure of success of the company. But even more important in the long term, as Peter Drucker wrote in his books, profits represent the cost of the future. Why? Because the company are working in a very competitive environment, and I would say the more global the economy is becoming and the strongest, the tougher the competition is becoming. And in this competition, innovation is the most important weapon that companies use to succeed. So if you want to be able to invest in scientific research, in innovation, you need some money. And this money is coming, first of all, from profits. This is the meaning of the sentence, profits represent the cost of the future. Only if you are succeeding, you are making profits, you can reinvest them in scientific research, in innovation. You will be able to improve your products, your services, in order to succeed also in the future, in order to be able to compete with the other companies that in the meantime are investing in scientific research, in innovation, in people. But the other important message of Peter Drucker was this one. To succeed, each organization needs to satisfy not only the consumer, which is, I would say, the main stakeholder or the main objective, the main goal of the company, but at least other three main stakeholders. First of all, the employees. Even if in micro enterprises the entrepreneur can make almost everything, he can be the shareholder of the company, the administrator, he can be also the manager and probably also the employee, and he will be everything for the company, but this will last only for a few weeks or maybe months. After that, growing, the company will need other people working in it, and that means normally employees. So if you want to succeed, you need to take care of your employees. And that means not only to choose the best one, but also to help them in the continuous training. That means that you have to invest in education, in training of your people, but you have also to take care of their personal needs, because only in that way your competition with other companies that will try to get your best people will allow you to succeed. Secondly, suppliers. In each company you have suppliers of goods, of services, and finally of money. The supplier of money in the idea of Peter Drucker can be lenders or can be people that put the money in the capital. And for Mr. Drucker, for Professor Drucker, these two categories are almost the same. The only difference is the level of risk. If you are lending money, you are asking for guarantees, and so probably you will be satisfied with a lower level of interest. If you are a shareholder, you are having a much higher level of risk, and so you will ask for a higher interest that are represented by dividends. So for all the suppliers, we can imagine an entire level of stakeholders, so a group of people or companies that have an interest in your company, that want your company to succeed, supplying, as I mentioned, goods, services, and money, but that also wants to have some reward. They want to be paid in the proper way, in the right times. But you, as an entrepreneur, want to have your supply in the long term. You don't want them only to supply once goods or services or money. You want them to do this in the long term. So if you want this to happen, you need to take care of your suppliers, to consider them partners rather than suppliers only. And that means, first of all, to pay them properly, to pay them on time, but also to work with them in order to improve your products, in order to improve your services. More and more innovation is produced by teams that are built by suppliers and the company itself, and often even by the customers. Finally, the local community. That means the area, the municipality, the region in which a company is working. A global company probably is working in several states, so you have to multiply the local community per the number of countries in which you have at least offices or companies working. But the local community is really very, very important because they are providing the company a lot of resources. We normally think to human resources, knowledge resources, financial resources, and even the material resources as given, but it is not exactly so. In different locations in the world, you will find big differences in the quality of the human resources, in the quality of the local university, if they exist, and of the scientific institutions that are providing knowledge to your company. There will be big differences in the financial resources, not only in terms of cost, but also in terms of availability of money. And finally, also the material resources are quite important. You need a land to build your factory, you need energy, and you need water and other kind of services. And of course, not only the availability, but also the price of all these material resources is quite important. You know that often companies are moving from one part of the world to another due to the lacking of some of these resources. Often the most strategic resource that is lacking is the human one. So what does it mean to take care of the local environment for a company? It means to understand the need of the local community, to help the municipality, for example, working better. That's the main reason I accepted in 1993 to candidate as mayor, and it was a family decision we took at that time. And that means to understand how the municipality can be helped also in terms of its initiative in the cultural activity, but why not also in taking care of elder people or of other people. It means also to understand the needs of the local education community, so university and scientific research institution, in order to help them in develop their activities. In conclusion, if you will take care of your stakeholders, so to remember the employees, your suppliers, and the local community, you will establish a win-win relationships, possibly a partnerships with your stakeholders. And this will allow your company to be sustainable. sustainability in terms of the economy. Your company will be able to last for a long while, maybe for centuries. Socially, that means that all the people that are working in your company, but also the employees of your suppliers, even the producers of the raw material you are using, and that maybe are produced in different continents, as it happens for us with coffee, with tea, and with cocoa we are buying from other continents. These people will be able to produce the raw materials you are needing, the services and the other supply you are needing in the long, long term. And finally, it will be sustainable on the point of view of the environment. So you will take care also on the environment, because you are perfectly aware that if you are polluting in the long term, not only your company won't exist, but I would say the whole humanity. So this is my conclusion. If you want to engage yourself in running a company, or if you want to improve the quality of the company you are already running, up to the stakeholder company model, you will feel better yourself, and you will help all the people working with you and working in the companies and in the local environment in which you are working, feeling better. Thank you. That's